Hello, welcome to the lecture on the limits of knowledge. In this lecture, we will focus on Rene Descartes' Meditation 1. Rene Descartes was a French philosopher who lived from 1596 to 1650. He's most famous, I think, for saying, "I think, therefore I am," which is found in his Discourse on Method. So the Meditations on First Philosophy, it was written in 1641. And what we'll find in Meditation 1 is that he has a particular project that he's undergoing, one in which he attempts to rid himself of his belief system in order to start fresh. And the way he does that is through a process of doubt. And his goal is to come to some belief or other that is indubitable, that can't be doubted. And he wants to build again on that foundation. So, as I said, his project is to rid himself of all the opinions which he had formerly accepted and commence to build anew from the foundation. Why? Well, he's realizing that he's carrying over many beliefs from his childhood, beliefs that he now doesn't know whether they're true or whether they're false. And so he wants to rid himself of those sorts of beliefs and start again, and from a sort of proper foundation, so that he can get rid of false beliefs and keep true beliefs, and this will give him what he says a firm and permanent structure in the sciences. So in order to rid himself of an opinion, he decides that he doesn't need to show that the opinion is false. That would be too much of a requirement. For his purposes, to find a belief that can't be doubted, if he can just show that a belief can be doubted, then he can get rid of it. After all, if you're looking for a belief that can't be doubted, when you find one that can be doubted, you know that's not the belief you're looking for. Okay, so here's the process that he goes through. He has 3 levels of doubt. And in the first level, he says, well, the senses aren't always reliable. Sometimes they deceive us. So about objects far away or objects that are small, our senses can deceive us. And so it is wiser not to trust entirely to anything, to put our trust entirely into anything which has deceived us even once. And so the evidence from our senses doesn't give us certain beliefs. It doesn't give us beliefs that are certain in all cases. But there are some sensations that do not deceive. So when we're looking at our hand, for example, we shouldn't doubt that we're, on the basis of data from our senses at least, we shouldn't doubt that we're seeing our hand. Or we shouldn't doubt, as Descartes says, I shouldn't doubt that I'm sitting here by the fire. So although the senses can deceive us, it's in certain cases. Optical illusions, objects that are far away, objects that are really small, the things that our sensory systems aren't exactly designed for. But for the things that they are designed for, they don't lead us astray. And so although the senses do call us to ask us to question some of our beliefs, it doesn't ask us to question all of them. So then he moves to the second and more pernicious level of doubt, the possibility of dreaming. Here we doubt even the senses that do not deceive. So, when I can trust my senses to tell me that I have hands, but given the possibility that I'm dreaming right now, I can even doubt that I have hands, right? Because maybe a person is born without any hands, and then they dream that they do have hands. And so Descartes, given the possibility that he's dreaming, how can you rule out that he's not in that sort of scenario? Someone who's born without hands but is currently dreaming that he has hands. So this is the dreaming scenario that calls into question many more of our beliefs than are called into question based on the error that our senses can lead us into. But even if there are some things we can doubt on the possibility that they're dreaming, Descartes says there are some things that we can't doubt. For example, that 1 + 1 = 2. So the principles of mathematics or the principles of logic, that there are things such as quantity and quality. So even if I can't, even if it's possible that I don't have hands, that I'm dreaming right now, that I do have hands, 1 + 1 still equals 2. Furthermore, he says, if I have an experience of a hand while dreaming, well, I didn't just come up with the notion of a hand out of nowhere. I came up with the notion because I have had in the past some sort of experience with hands. So even if I don't currently have hands, well, I've had hand experiences, and so it must be based on something real. Much in the same way that a fanciful creature like a mermaid is an amalgamation of a person and a fish. Okay, so the possibility that I'm dreaming right now does call into question many of my beliefs, but not all. And so Descartes ends up discussing a third level of doubt that is even more pernicious, and we'll call this the evil genius scenario or evil demon scenario. Descartes starts by saying, well, suppose that I'm not dreaming, but God is deceiving me. And, well, if God is all-powerful, he could deceive me about anything, couldn't he? But he immediately rejects that proposal because on the conception of God that he's working with, God is all good, and God wouldn't deceive him wholesale. So instead of imagining that God is deceiving him, Descartes imagines that there's some evil demon who is deceiving him. And in this scenario, this possible scenario, there's an evil disembodied demon, and Rene Descartes, who's disembodied as well. And the evil demon is very powerful, and he's deceiving Descartes into thinking that he has hands and that he's a philosopher, that he's French, that 1 + 1 = 2, things like that. So he says, suppose some evil genius has employed his whole energies in deceiving Descartes, or he doesn't say. Descartes considers that the heavens, the earth, colors, figures, sound, and all other external things are nothing but the illusions and dreams of which this evil genius has availed himself in order to lay traps for his credulity. Descartes considers himself as having no hands, etc., yet falsely believing himself to possess all these things. So, wow, is there anything that can't be doubted on the possibility that I'm currently, or Rene Descartes is currently being deceived by an evil demon? Well, Descartes says yes, there's one thing that the evil demon can't deceive him about, that he is a thinking thing. After all, in order to deceive something, that thing has to exist, right? So if the evil demon is going to deceive Descartes, Descartes has to exist. And the evil demon has to deceive something that is capable of being deceived. A rock is not capable of being deceived. It doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have conceptions. So if the evil demon is going to deceive Descartes, first of all, Descartes has to exist. And second of all, Descartes has to have a mind, has to be able to think, has to be able to be deceived. So therefore, if the evil demon is deceiving him, then Descartes must be a thinking thing, at the very least. And this is the belief that he thinks can't be doubted, because even when you get to the most pernicious level of doubt, that there's an all-powerful being who is intent on deceiving him, there are certain things that he can't be deceived about. And from there, Descartes goes on to try to infer or deduce other beliefs, based on the fact that I know that I'm a thinking thing. What else can I know? And so he deduces all sorts of things, including that he has a soul and that God exists and things like that. So there you go. Rene Descartes started out by doubting all that could be doubted of his beliefs in order to get rid of his former beliefs and start anew, so that he could find that belief which cannot be doubted, which would serve as the foundation for his new belief system. And that is Descartes' Meditation 1.